Days before the House of Representatives is set to vote on releasing the Epstein Files. It's a stunning breach between two MAGA leaders, one of whom is here with me now exclusively for her first interview since the president cut ties. Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Greene of Georgia, thank you so much for being here. As you just heard, and I know you saw, the president says he's withdrawing support for you, encouraging primary challengers. You were one of his biggest supporters. What do you think happened here?
Well, Dana, thank you for having me on, and that is true. I stood with President Trump when virtually no one else did. Campaigned all over the country, spent millions of my own dollars helping him get elected, and I think that's incredibly important. And I do support him and his administration, and I support them in delivering the campaign promises we made to the American people. His remarks, of course, have been hurtful. However, I have something in my heart that I think is incredibly important for our country, and that is to end the toxic fighting in politics. And this has been going on for years, and it has divided our country, split up friends and families, neighbors, and it's not solving our problems. The most hurtful thing he said, which is absolutely untrue, is he called me a traitor, and that is so extremely wrong. And those are the types of words used that can radicalize people against me and put my life in danger.
What do you think happened? What do you think is the reason for this?
Unfortunately, it has all come down to the Epstein Files, and that is shocking. And, you know, I stand with these women. I stand with rape victims. I stand with children who are in terrible sex abuse situations, and I stand with survivors of trafficking and those that are trapped in sex trafficking. And I will not apologize for that. I believe the country deserves transparency in these files, and I don't believe that rich, powerful people should be protected if they have done anything wrong. And so I'm standing with the women, and I will continue to do my small part to get the files released.
You said on X yesterday, quote, "It's astonishing really how hard he's fighting to stop the Epstein Files from coming out, and that it really makes you wonder what is in those files." Are you suggesting there's something in the Epstein Files that President Trump does not want Americans to see?
Well, I think that's the part that has so many people confused, is that the women themselves that I have talked to have over and over again said that Donald Trump did nothing wrong. Quite a few of them even told me they voted for him. And those are the women I would like to see in the Oval Office with support. I would like to see all of the women there with support. I have no idea what's in the files. I can't even guess, but that is the questions everyone is asking, is why fight this so hard?
Well, before this blow up, you sort of alluded to this just now. You said you were confident the president wouldn't be implicated. Are you still confident of that?
I'm listening to the women. Those are the ones that are saying that he did nothing wrong. Virginia Giuffre even said under oath that Donald Trump did nothing wrong, and she wrote it in her book. So I'm continuing to listening to the women, and I think their voices should be the loudest.
On Epstein, sir, Marjorie Greene, the Congresswoman, was on CBS News. She was talking about how the files should be released. We anticipate that it will happen in the House. I know you've had about the investigation today.
I don't care about it, released or not. What I think you should do, if you're going to do it, then you have to go into Epstein's friends. This Reid Hoffman spent a lot of time on the island. I was never on his island. Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. You're going to have to look into his friends, because if they're going to do that, then I think the perfect guy to do it would be Southern District, somebody like Jay Clayton. I understand that's who's been assigned.
But does the Congresswoman have a point, though?
Does Marjorie Greene have a point?
Does she have a point?
I know nothing about her.
On the release of files, all the files.
Well, they can have whatever they want. They already do. I think they have 50,000 pages already. Look, this is a Democrat hoax. This is a hoax put out by the Democrat and a couple of few Republicans have gone along with it because they're weak and ineffective. But this is a Democrat hoax to get away from the fact that they just lost the shutdown and they've lost the elections. They lost the big election, to me, in a record number. They lost the popular vote. They lost the swing states. They lost everything. I think it was 312 to 220 something. So this is a way of not talking about that. It's a hoax. This is no different than Russia. And it's headed up by Democrats and some very weak Republicans.
I was just wondering if you have a timeline for when you might release more of those files connected
Which ones?
Democrats to Epstein.
Well, I don't know about those ones. I know nothing about it, but I understand they released like 40 or 50,000 pages already.
Okay.
And nobody knows. I will say this. If they had anything, they would have used it before the election. Okay? I can't tell you what they put in since the election. But if they had anything, you don't think they would have used it before the election? They would have gladly used it before the election.
So speaking of the election,
One of only 4 Republican lawmakers who helped force a vote to release all of the files in the investigation of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Now, the House is expected to vote next week on a bill to release the files after a bipartisan petition to force the vote finally got enough signatures. And all of it comes after a new batch of Epstein's private emails were released, a batch that mentions President Trump multiple times. Some GOP leaders and the president oppose the release of these documents, and the president denies any wrongdoing, hasn't been accused of wrongdoing. Only on CBS Mornings, we are joined now by Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. Congresswoman, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Good morning to you. I want to begin with the release of the Epstein files, the vote to release those files. You are on the side of releasing them, and you're on that side despite President Trump saying that only a very bad or stupid Republican would be standing where you are. Why is this so important to you?
It's for the victims. These women have been waiting, some of them for decades. I talked to several victims that were raped by Jeffrey Epstein back in the 90s. And so this is information that has needed to come out for a very long time. And the American people have demanded it. And so the American people deserve to see transparency from their government. Rich, powerful people should not be protected. That is completely wrong. And it's a message to victims everywhere, victims of rape, human trafficking, and children who are trapped in terrible situations, that the government will not protect the predators, that we will work hard to protect the victims.
So, Congresswoman, that all sounds reasonable. A lot of people agree with you. And so the question comes to mind, why is GOP leadership and the president himself so opposed to letting these files be released? As the Wall Street Journal put it, he looks like he has something to hide, even if he doesn't. So put on your political hat here. Why is he so opposed?
Well, you know, I've talked to many of the women, and the women themselves have said that Donald Trump did nothing wrong. And even their attorney said that Donald Trump was the only one that helped them. So I'll just being very honest with you, it's something that I don't understand. I think it's a huge miscalculation. And I truly just stand with the women, and I think they deserve to be the ones that we're fighting for.
You can understand, Congresswoman, how in the absence of a compelling why, a reason from the White House, people jump to conclusions and assume the president must be implicated in some way. And then we have all of this new information that came out both from Republicans and Democrats. I know you were going through it as of Wednesday. I'll just highlight one email that's getting a lot of attention here. It's from Jeffrey Epstein in 2011, and he says, "The dog that hasn't barked is Trump." The email goes on from there. We don't understand the context. What do you make of this?
I don't know, not understanding the context of their conversation. And of course, Jeffrey Epstein is dead, so we can't ask him himself what that means. There's many conversations in these emails. There's tens of thousands of pages. That email in particular came from the estate. We subpoenaed the estate on the Oversight Committee. I'm part of that investigation. So it would be good to have further information there. But there's many people. And, you know, I've been looking at these emails, and I think it's a very interesting view into a world that most of us have never seen. It's like kind of like a web of global affairs, business connections, a very high and powerful people,
Congresswoman?
foreign leaders, and it's just an interesting world, and even the intel community.
It is an interesting world. It makes me wonder, and I'll just put it baldly, do you think President Trump has something to hide here?
I don't, because I believe the women, and the women have said over and over again that Donald Trump did nothing wrong. Even Virginia Giuffre said it under oath, and she wrote it in her book. And so if we listen to the women, they say Donald Trump has done nothing wrong.